8:07 is our time. John Wisniewski is a former New Jersey State Assemblyman, former New Jersey Democratic primary candidate for governor, and a legal and political analyst. And he's here to talk about the recent release of gubernatorial candidate Mikie Sherrill's military records without her consent. Key there. Now, the records were released after a Freedom of Information Act request, but they were released in their entirety, unredacted, Social Security number, private address. Every bit of her private information was released, information that would be unnecessary for anyone requesting those military records. So why did it happen? Sherrill's Social Security number, again, think about it if it happened to you, was released. That should never happen. So let's bring in John Wisniewski right now. John, good morning to you. Good to have you on.
Good morning, Ken. How are you?
Good, thank you. So when you heard about this, I was incensed hearing about it, because when you have your Social Security number and your private information, that is sacrosanct. That is never supposed to be released. I mean, you're a professional. You ran for governor. When you heard about that, what went through your mind?
Well, it's disappointing. It's disgusting. But I want to be honest, right? No one should be surprised that this would happen when the Trump administration is responsible for the release of that information. Releasing Social Security number, home address, all of the information that normally would be redacted, somehow, in this particular case, in the midst of a gubernatorial election, it gets released. That's not an accident.
Yeah, there is no debating. I want an investigation. I want to find out how this happened. Whoever did this, if it can be traced higher, it should be traced higher. I'm with you 100%. That is disgusting, especially if you're a veteran and you commit to serving your country and risking your life. You don't deserve it. We had just Billy Prempa. I don't know if you heard any of the interview. He's a Republican. He's a vet. He was disgusted by the release of that, the detail, certainly the detail. I mean, it's one thing with the Freedom of Information Act. You are, in certain circumstances, you're allowed to release certain limited information. Limited. They released the whole file. So now what kind of an investigation should be and would be done at this point?
Well, we should call on the FBI to do the investigation. But again, we can't count on the FBI to do an investigation when this stuff happens to a Democratic candidate for governor. But look, if the shoe were on the other foot and there was damaging or just personal information released about a Republican candidate, the Kash Patel FBI would be all over this. And so we see what a double standard really means in this country today. And it's disappointing, because what this means is that this administration for the next 3 years will weaponize every system of government available to them to seek whatever advantage they think they can get, rightly or wrongly.
Well, should we have a congressional investigation? Because if you don't trust the FBI, like, we're talking out of both sides now. We're saying we don't trust the FBI. At the same time, the FBI hasn't done anything. I mean, I'm with you. John, we're frighteningly on the same side here.
Yeah, the FBI hasn't done anything. But what I'm saying is like, no one should be holding their breath that the FBI is going to have some type of moment of clarity in which they say, oh, this is something we need to do. And Speaker Mike Johnson, you think that he's going to allow a congressional investigation into something that the Trump administration did incorrectly? Look, this came out of the Trump administration. The people responsible for this information, whether it came from the Department of Defense, which it likely did, is run by Pete Hegseth, who has shown himself very eager to abuse the power given to him. So it's like, yeah, let's get a congressional investigation. That's going to have to wait until the Democrats take the majority in the midterm elections. But in the meantime, this is something that you and I are going to talk about, that it's wrong. We're all going to agree that it's wrong. Republicans can even agree that it's wrong. But you won't see a single Republican calling for an investigation of this.
I hope they investigate. I want to know. I mean, and I'm hoping there are enough honest Republicans out there who want to get to the bottom of it, because again, we served or we have relatives who served, and we need to know how this happened. And if it came to Pete Hegseth authorizing it, Pete Hegseth, get your ass out of there, or bring him up on charges. That is not acceptable, period. But now, if I could, I just want to shift, John. Yeah,
Yeah,
100%. See, my
yeah,
father's a vet. We were very upset by that. But John,
yeah.
here's the thing, and this is not, there is no but equivocation. What I'm saying with the following is the way it gets handled. If I am Mikie Sherrill's handlers, this is what I would have said to this. I would have said, all right, that should never have been released, and it shows how disgusting the other side is. But I served 9 years in the military. Mr. Chitterelli, how many years did you serve? I would have done that. I would have turned it around and shoved it right up the other side's backside. I would have said, I served 9 years. I didn't have to serve 9 years. Once you graduate the Naval Academy, you have to serve 4 or 5 years. But I could have left at that point. I come from a comfortable background. I'm an attorney, but no, I served 9 years. How about you? What did you do? I would have just, and even the fact that she got into the Naval Academy, which is one of the most difficult academies in the whole country to get into, I would have said, where'd you go to school? I went to the Naval Academy. Flip it around right on its head and shove it right up the other side. Who is advising her? She's only on MSNBC, which, has about 90,000 viewers nationwide. I'm not trying to make fun. It's a fact. Come on to
It's
New
got
Jersey
more than
media.
that.
No, it doesn't. 2554 adults, which is all they care about. I'm telling you, it's 90,000. That's why NBC has gotten rid of them. My thing is, come on to New Jersey media. We've all invited them on. They don't even answer our calls. I don't mean just me. News 12, New Jersey 101.5. They ignore us all. And we're trying to put her on. She doesn't want to come on. So this is the point, John. It's like, come out. She should be taking the lead and showing control on this.
Well, I think she is showing control, and I think she's showing the grace that we need in elected officials who are not going to immediately get into the whataboutism that the Republicans too frequently get into. Look, her record as a naval aviator speaks for itself. Her record as having attended the Naval Academy speaks for itself. The disgusting weaponization of her personal information speaks for itself. So I think there's a lot of different ways of looking at this, and certainly you and I are not inside the tent, so to speak, on the decision making that the Mikie Sherrill campaign makes. And let's make sure we know it's Mikie, not Mike. I think that she's handling this appropriately.
I don't know if you heard me before. I kept conflating Jack Chitterelli and Mikie Sherrill and saying Jackie. I don't know why my brain, I need an extra cup of coffee. Former New Jersey State Assemblyman, former New Jersey Democratic primary candidate for governor, which is why your insight is so valuable here, and a legal and political analyst, John Wisniewski. I appreciate you coming on today. Please, this is not going to go away anytime soon. We want you back, and we got to talk more about it. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Ken. Thanks for having me on.
You bet, John. Have a good day.